بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الهمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود، فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان أرضه، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا الممجد بشيرنا المصدق نذيرنا المؤيد المصطفى الأمجد محمود الأحمد، الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين قال عنهم الرسول: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم، أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم، إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة الدائمة الباقي على أعدائهم ومبغضيهم وغاصبي حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى لقاء يوم الدين. أما بعد، سلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Before I begin my presentation for this evening, may I request you to join me in reciting the ayah of Amma Yujib for someone who is going to undergo a serious surgery, and all the people who are in need of our prayers and du'as for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them a speedy recovery, inshaAllah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. الفاتحة لشفاء المريض. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Yesterday we spoke about a selected part of the khutbah of Hazrat Zahra salawatullahi wa salamu alayha. And we mentioned that she spoke to the companions of the Holy Prophet of Islam in a manner which they never probably expected. At the age of 18, she delivered a sermon that has become a historical sermon for scholars to examine and analyze that khutbah until today and make new interpretations from this particular khutbah. We moved on into getting to understand that Zahra was speaking to the companions and reminding them of their responsibilities. Antum ibadullahi, you are the slaves and the ibad of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are the umana of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. you have a certain responsibility. We then moved on to the freedom of thought and the freedom of thinking. We talked that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made you and I and all of us and has given us the ability to reason, the ability to think, the ability to examine, the ability to analyze, the ability to synthesize, the ability to be able to know the truth and the reality. It is innate within the human being to be inquisitive. It is innate within the human being to understand the realities around him or her. And therefore, this innate element that exists within the human beings is there by purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept in us for us to be able to see and understand the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the same time, to be able to examine, to evaluate, to be able to weigh the opinions, to be able to find a conclusion in search of truth that you and I are comfortable with in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That does not mean that we will be comfortable all the time. No, but a relationship which needs to be understood, a relationship which is in harmony with Sharia, with the framework of the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, when we read the verses of Quran, when we see the teachings of the Holy Prophet of Islam, when we see the purpose why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Holy Prophet of Islam, we realize that it was to liberate us. It was to give us the state of, or the experience of feeling the freedom of being able to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the freedom of being able to examine, to analyze something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And all the verses of the Quran point towards that and nothing but that. Yesterday I recited this verse before you, and I want to just quickly go through this verse again and then talk about few other verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Holy Prophet of Islam. Initially, in Surah Al-Jum'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ. It is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent to the people of Mecca a messenger from amongst themselves. His job was يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, to recite the verses, to familiarize them with the verses of Quran, to purify them, to teach them the book, wal-hikmah, and wisdom. وَإِن كَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Although before that they were in manifest error, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So in the first part of this particular surah, in Surah Al-Jum'ah, Allah says this was the function of the Prophet. This is why He sent the Prophet to the people of Mecca. Someone who was going to recite verses of Quran, who was going to familiarize people with the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who was going to teach them the book, who was going to purify them, who was going to allow them to have the insight to this grand book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this verse which I recited yesterday. He says, الَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الرَّسُولَ النَّبِيَّ الْأُمِّي. Now, it is for us, this particular verse. Allah says, those who follow the messenger, يَتَّبِعُونَ الرَّسُولَ, the messenger of Allah, An-Nabi, who is a prophet, Al-Ummi, who is from the people of Mecca, or who is an Ummi, الذي يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذي يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل. The mention of this prophet is there in Torah. The mention of this prophet is there in their books, both Torah and Injil. His function, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given as to what he is supposed to do. This Prophet, Allah says, يَأْمُرُهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَاهُمْ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. He institutionalizes good. He forbids evil from evil. He forbids from evil. He forbids evil. He keeps people away from evil. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and the other function of this prophet is وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. And he is the one who makes permissible for them that which is good for them, forbids upon them that which is bad for them. وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالِ. And he has come to remove the burden and the shackles التي كانت عليهم, the shackles that they were upon, the shackles that were holding them back, the burden that was not allowing them to freedom, the shackles that were not allowing them growth. You know, there is a poem by Ayyame Iqbal in Bale Jibril. The name of the entire stanza or the entire poetry is known as Bale Jibril. In this Bale Jibril, he talks about a heavenly bird. Ayyame Iqbal speaks about a heavenly bird, and he gives an impression to the one who is reading this particular poetry that this angelic bird flies flawlessly. It glides into the lahut. Lahut is all the way to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then he talks about this in Bale Jibril. He says, E ta'ire lahuti. He says, oh, the bird that flies high to the heavenly existence. E ta'ire lahuti, us rizq se maut achhi. It is better to die than to eat or consume something. What consumption is he talking about? E ta'ire lahuti, us rizq se maut achhi, jis rizq se hoti ho parvaz mein kotahi. It is better to die than to eat something which will prevent your flight or clog your flight from reaching to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the function of this prophet is, I have sent Rasulullah, I have sent this Nabi. He does amr bil ma'roof, he does nahi anil munkar. He is one who makes it permissible for you to eat or drink or do whatever which is good for you. He forbids for you that which is evil. But then وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالِ. And it is this prophet who removes the burdens, who unshackles them الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ, from those things that are holding them back. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ, those who believe in him. وَعَزَّرُوهُ, and those who honor him. وَنَصَرُوهُ, and those who assist him and help him. وَاتَّبَعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ, and those who follow the light that was revealed unto the Holy Prophet of Islam with him. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These people who are liberated, these people who have left the things that they were holding them back, are the ones who shall be successful. So you see, the idea behind this is that our development, our growth is dependent upon our freedom of thinking, our freedom of experiencing, our freedom of realizing, our freedom of analyzing, our freedom of weighing, our freedom of being able to reason with things is that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is presenting in this particular verse. So this is the idea, and the development of a human being is truly dependent upon this. Therefore, our interaction with Quran cannot be an empty ritual. Our interaction with our a'mal and prescriptive a'mal cannot just be a ritual prescriptive way of performing an a'mal. To be able to see what truth is, to be able to understand what the depth and insight into what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned is for us to think, to engage with the traditions, to engage with the rituals, to engage with the verses of the Quran, so that we are able to understand. One sajda performed by ma'rifah and understanding, by tafakkur and tadabbur, will be far more worthy than thousands of sajda performed in jahala. वो एक सजदा जिसे तू गिरा समझता है. That one sajda which you find to be heavy upon you, वो एक सजदा जिसे तू गिरा समझता है, हजार सजदों से देता है आदमी को नजात. It liberates you from thousands of sajdas that you and I perform in our daily lives. This state of liberation and freedom gives to you and I this state of experiencing that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done. And you see, verses and after verses of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given status to Adam and the son of Adam. Not free, surely. This status is not given just in vain because I look good looking, or I am handsome, or I am good in all the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is not why a status has been given to man. No, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You were the best of the people who were taken out for all the nations. You know why you were the best of the people? تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Because you have within you this innate ability to institutionalize good, to forbid people from evil. It is there within you. That is why you are the best of the people. Not because you look good, not because you are Hazrat-e-Insan, you know. A poet in Urdu says, यूं अगर देखिए क्या कुछ नहीं ये मुश्त गुबार. If you look at man, musht gubar is a bundle of clay or dust. He says, यूं अगर देखिए क्या कुछ नहीं ये मुश्त गुबार. If you see a man, you begin to realize what is it that this man is not. دواؤك فيك وما تبصر وداؤك منك وما تشعر أتزعم أنك جرم صغير. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, do you see yourself to be insignificant? وفيك انطوى العالم الأكبر. When within you exists a huge universe, only if you realize. So the poet says, यूं अगर देखिए क्या कुछ नहीं ये मुश्त गुबार. If you look at this man, what is it that he is not? और अगर सोचिए तो खाक भी इंसान में नहीं. And if you think about it, then he is not worth even dust itself. He is dust in his own grave. This is the reality of man. He can either rise above the status of the angels or drop below the status of the animals. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لِجَهَنَّمَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. We have prepared Jahannam for many of the jinn and ins. Why have we prepared? Why? لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They have hearts, but they do not ponder, think, reflect with them. وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. They have ears, they do not hear with them. وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا. They have eyes, but they do not see, because their eyes are seeing with somebody else's spectacle. They have eyes, they have ears, they do not see. Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. They are like animals. No, he goes beyond. بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلْ. They are worse than animals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking and He's saying this freedom that Allah has granted for you and I to think and for us to be able to move forward through our thought process. Our development and our growth is dependent upon our thought process. Allah leaves a challenge upon the best of nations. The status that He gives comes with responsibility and expectation. This is what Bibi in Masjidul Nabawi, the Bibi is delivering a khutbah. This is what she is making people realize, that you have a responsibility. There is an expectation of you because authority has been invested in you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why He congratulates Himself after He creates you. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Oh, it is from the fifth Imam alayhi salam. In Usul-e-Kafi, in the book known as Usul-e-Kafi, is one of the main books of ahadith that we use in Usul-e-Kafi. He begins with a chapter of intellect. He talks about intellect. This is how the book actually begins. And this chapter is known as Babul Aql, the Bab or the chapter of intellect. In this there is a hadith. This is the first hadith that appears in the book Usul Kafi. It says the sixth Imam alayhi salam, fifth Imam alayhi salam says, he says that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَمَّا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْعَقْلِ, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the intellect, istantaqahu, He gave the intellect the ability to speak, the ability of speech. So Allah created the intellect, and then He gave the intellect the ability of speech. Istantaqahu. Thumma, then He says, aqbil. He said to the intellect, come forward. Fa'aqbal. The intellect came forward. Then Imam says, qala lahu adbir. Move back, retreat. And the intellect retreated. ثم قال, then Imam said, وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to this intellect, I swear by my izzah and my being the most, with my jalal, مَا خَلَقْتُ خَلْقًا هُوَ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنْكَ, I have not created anything that is more beloved to me than you, O intellect. Now, this intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, He's speaking about it. I have not created anything which is more beloved to me than the intellect, than you, O intellect. And then He says, وَلَا أَكْمَلْتُكَ إِلَّا فِي أحب, I will not perfect you in anyone except those whom I love. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the intellect, amma inni iyyaka amir wa iyyaka anha. It is through you that I will command. It is through you that I am going to prohibit anything. It is you. So the instruction will come to you as an intellect. The instruction of good will come to you. The instruction of evil, whatever, not the instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is nahi will come to you. What is amr will come to you. وَإِيَّاكَ أَنْهَا وَإِيَّاكَ أُعَاقِبْ وَإِيَّاكَ أُثِيبْ. And I will give rewards through you, or the intellect, and I will also give punishments through you. So now we are responsible as people who are thinking, as people who have been given the intellect to think, as people who can analyze, are going to be responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Quran asks us to do tadabbur. It talks again and again to do tafakkur. It speaks to us all the time in every page of Quran, if I am not exaggerating. If you open verses of the Quran and read about it, the verses scream to you, think, think, think. Why? Think, reflect, ponder, do tadabbur, think about what we have said. Example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah 12, verse 105, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّنْ آيَةٍ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. How many signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are in the heavens and the earth. يَمُرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا. People just pass by, وَهُمْ عَنْهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. And they are oblivious completely of what is there. There is no thought process whatsoever. You will see these verses in the Quran. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in the creations of the heavens and the earth, and in the succession of night and day, there are indeed messages for all who are endowed with insight. How does this insight come? Not by blind following, by thinking, by processing information, by analyzing, by being able to see and weigh what is being said, and then apply into what it means. That is how the insight of an individual is matured. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another verse says, الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم. There are those amongst the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who remember Him while they stand, who remember Him while they sit down, وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ, and who remember Him while they lie down. And then Allah says, these are people وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. These are the people who painstakingly, and I'm using this painstakingly as my understanding of the verse, but these are people وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. They think about the creations of the heaven and the earth. They ponder about the creation of the heavens and the earth. And they reach a point in their reflections. They say, Rabbana ma khalaqta hadha batila. Surely our Lord, you have not created this in vain. There is some meaning to what you have done. Again, an invitation for you and I to think, an invitation for you and I to reflect. Rabbana ma khalaqta hadha batilan subhanak. Glory be to you. You see, continuously in Quran, you realize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you and I. Now, what do I do after thinking? What am I supposed to do after thinking? If it is something that I'm just doing for the sake of doing it, and there is nothing else at the end of it, then why think in the first place? What is the purpose of thinking? Observe when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about these verses of Quran, and I have recited them in some wedding functions. In fact, all wedding functions, the scholars or the speakers who talk about the marriage or the philosophies of marriage or advices recite this verse of Quran. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. These are printed on the cards. These are printed on the cards. These are printed. Nowadays, you have saved the date on WhatsApp. That's how we communicate nowadays. You want to laugh, you just say lol. You don't type lol. You just say LOL. That means I have already laughed loudly. The idea of laughing has disappeared now. You don't want to laugh. You just say lol and you have laughed enough. OMG, oh my God. I'm trying to learn this myself. Anyway, here it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you and I the understanding of what to do, to think, to reflect. It talks about a bee, Allah says. So Allah first of all says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is He who has created. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, one of His signs is that He has created from amongst you spouses, your pairs, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you may rest in them. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, and He has created between you love and compassion. And then Allah says, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ, in this marriage, لَآيَاتٍ, there are signs, لِقَوْمٍ, for the community, يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, who think, who reflect. Again, there is an invitation to think. Take another verse of Quran. It is not only to do with خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. No, it is to do with everything in which there is an invitation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to think. Take this as an example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا. Allah is speaking about a bee, and He's speaking about how He reveals and inspires unto the bee. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ, how Allah inspires the bee. أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا, to take a dwelling in the mountains. وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ, and what they make. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that ثُمَّ كُلِي مِن كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ, then Allah says you eat. He inspires the bee to eat. ثُمَّ كُلِي مِن كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ, eat from all the fruits. فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبِّكِ ذُلُلًا, and then Allah says يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ. From the belly of this bee comes a beverage of multiple colors. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. In there are signs for the community that thinks, a community that reflects. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting every single moment. You and I are being invited to think, to ponder. He talks about a camel. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Do they not see how we have created a camel? So the invitation is for us to look at the camel, not to just sit on it and say this is a camel or eat its flesh. We are being told, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Do they not see how we have created this camel? وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ. Do they not see how we have raised and suspended this sama, this sky? وَإِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ. Do they not see how we have spread this earth? Think about it. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, يَا مَعْشَرَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. O the assembly of the heavens and the earth, إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتُمْ أَن تَنْفُضُوا مِنْ أَقْطَارِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ فَانْفُضُوا. If you are able to penetrate the regions of the heavens and the earth, do so, Allah says. لَا تَنْفُضُونَ إِلَّا بِالسُّلْطَانِ. You will not be able to do it. Here, sultan is not authority alone. It is intellect. It is by aql. لا تنفضون إلا بسلطان. Again, there is an invitation. Oh man, conquer space. E is equal to mc square. Oh man, go. I have given you a way. I have given you a headway. Understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. So every time we are being told to think, we are being told to ponder. It is this that gives progress to us. When thinking stops in a community, when thinking stops in a society, when the ability to think finishes or becomes weak, stagnation takes over. You now see intellectual stagnation taking place. You see intellectual paralysis taking place. There is nothing that is moving. Excellence is not achieved in any area whatsoever. Everything is seen through the eyes of someone else. ले देखे अपने पास फकत एक नजर तो है, क्यों देखें जिंदगी को किसी की नजर से हम? Why should we see the world through the eyes of someone while I have the eyes myself? Now, my fellow brothers and sisters, allow me to bring to you a hadith of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. The state of the Muslim Ummah as we speak today is in a state of chaos. The Muslim Ummah is in a state of chaos. No matter where you see politically, institutional leadership, scholarships, spiritual leadership, every area is in a state of dilemma. Every area is in a state of chaos. Amirul Mu'mineen Nahjul Balagha, sermon number 103, speaks about the ending times. It speaks about the times of Akhirul Zaman. In there, he says something extremely important and something very interesting. He says, Ayyuhan Nas, this is sermon number 103. And in another probably version, it is 102, wherever you will find it nearby, either 102 or 103. He says, Ayyuhan Nas, O people, Sayati alaykum zamanun. There shall come a time upon you, O men, yukfa'u fihi al-Islam. Islam will be capsized. I mean, it will capsize itself with all its contents. the whole content of Islam will disappear. He says, يُكْفَأُ فِيهِ الْإِسْلَامِ كَمَا يُكْفَأُ الْإِنَاءُ بِمَا فِيهِ. And then he gives an example. He says, just like a pot is capsized with all its contents, Islam will lose meaning absolutely. It will become empty of meaning. Why? Why will it become empty of meaning? Because there is no thought process, because there is no thinking, because there is no, you and I are not able to look at the ayat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for us. And therefore Islam will become empty of its own contents. When intellect ceases to function, or when we do not allow ourselves to think, or when we do not allow ourselves to ponder, when we look at the world through different spectacles and never allow ourselves to analyze something, we come to a point where we validate the killing of another human being in the name of God. We reach that point that we validate violation in the name of God, because there is no thought process. Something has been read literally. It has been applied literally. It has been used literally. Finished. We now are able to actually commit a crime in the name of God, because there is no thought process whatsoever. The daughter of the Holy Prophet of Islam is standing there. I'lamu anni Fatimah. She has to say this to the companions. Does she have to say this to the companions? O companions, O you who are nusaba'u amri wa nahi, i'lamu anni Fatima. Know that I am Fatima. What happened? What happened? Where were the thinking people? What happened to them? Here, the daughter of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Not only this, she actually has to say that I am speaking the truth. What a calamity. Siddiqah has to say in the sermon that I am speaking nothing but the truth. What happens when stagnation takes over? We realize that the following without us thinking about it results in the decadence and backwardness of our own understanding of things. We realize that there is no desire to think, even in matters which are to establish spiritual relationships between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Muslim Ummah is in a state. It cannot take another opinion. It's intolerant to an opposing view, in contrast to what Ali ibn Abi Talib was doing, in contrast to what the 6th Imam alayhi salam was doing, in contrast to what the Holy Prophet of Islam was doing. When another opinion came, it was debated upon with akhlaq, with adab, with character, with everything. Yet today the Muslim Ummah is in a state where it cannot tolerate another opinion. It can't. It cannot sit together. I have recited this, but Allama Iqbal says, manfaat ek hai, is qawm ki nuqsan bhi ek. If you think about it, the benefits and the losses are common to this ummah of Muslimah. Manfaat ek hai, is qawm ki nuqsan bhi ek. Ek hi sabka nabi, deen bhi, iman bhi ek. The Prophet is the same, the deen is the same, iman is the same. Manfaat ek hai, is qawm ki nuqsan bhi ek. Ek hi sabka nabi, deen bhi, iman bhi ek. Haram Pak bhi, Allah bhi, Quran bhi ek. Haram is the same, Allah is the same, Quran is the same. Haram Pak bhi, Allah bhi, Quran bhi ek. Kuch badi baat thi hote jo Musalman bhi ek. Allah is the same. What is divided is Muslims. The Ummah of the Holy Prophet of Islam. The Ummah of the Holy Prophet of Islam. The man who
liberated people from that which was holding them back. The man who brought the Ansar and the Muhajirun together. A man who created an ummah. कुछ बड़ी बात थी होते जो मुसलमान भी एक. He says फिरका बंदी है कहीं और कहीं जाते हैं. If you see, there is groupings here and there. Somebody is talking about our kai jaat joya, which where I come from. This is my jaat. This is, even if jat is jat, he still calls it a jaat. फिरका बंदी है कहीं और कहीं जाते हैं. क्या पनपने में ज़माने, क्या पनपने की ज़माने में यही बातें हैं? Is this all that is left for us to do now? And then he says something beautiful. He says, यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो. He says, you call yourself a sayyid, you call yourself a mirza, you call yourself Afghan. It is not only these three groups, huh? Yeah, everybody. If I call myself an Afghani, if I call myself Iraqi, if I call myself Pakistani, if I call myself Indian, if I call myself Khoja, if I call myself Punjabi, if I call myself whoever it is, he says, यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो, तुम सभी कुछ हो, बताओ कि मुसलमान भी हो. You may be everything. Is there any element of Islam in you? Here the daughter of the Holy Prophet of Islam is standing. She's delivering a sermon. Does she have to say, "I'lamu anni Fatima"? Does she have to say what was going on in the minds of the people? Where did their thinking go? Where did the reflections go? Where did their own view with regard to who she was go? What happened? Therefore, it is this that has brought us to this particular stage today. The difference of opinions between us as Muslims, as the Ummah itself, is intolerable. We are not able to tolerate ourselves. The places of worship have become a place of defamation of characters. Mosques, masajid. Look at the Muslim world. Listen to Friday sermons. See what is happening. You just defame the character of the people. This is what is happening. Intense disregard for each other. It has led to violate all norms of decency. Muslims, कुछ बड़ी बात थी होते जो मुसलमान भी एक. Why? Because there is absolutely, it's just blind following. It is just blind following. This is what we are to do. This is what we are. There is no thinking whatsoever. The greatest ill effect of this approach is that following our religion becomes, without thinking, becomes just a mechanical process. Kalas, it is just a mechanical process. I have to pray 3 rakat namaz. I have to stand up. Awwal waqt 3 rakat namaz. I will pray 3 rakat. It's just mechanical. And there is absolutely no flow that is coming out of the heart. You know, Allama Iqbal says, baat jab dil se nikalti hai, asar rakhti hai. That which comes out from your heart has a huge effect. बात जो दिल से निकलती है असर रखती है, पर नहीं ताकत परवाज मगर रखती है. It does not have wings, but it has the ability to fly. बात जो दिल से निकलती है. When you pray and I pray our salat, perform the activities of Hajj or whatever the ritual may be, if it is only an empty ritual without thought process and thinking and reflecting, it is just a normal activity that we are performing. It has no flow. It doesn't come out of the heart, and therefore it does not bring any change in character and behavior of a human being. Allah says, "Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar." Namaz is supposed to keep us away from evil. But the greatest zalim on this planet may be someone who is praying namaz. Somebody came to Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And he said to the fourth Imam, we see this man praying salat. His ruku' is long, his sujood is long, his qiyam is long. We envy him. Ibn Rasulullah, we envy him. Imam smiled. His qiyam is long, his ruku' is long, his sujood is long. Mere muh par meri daadhi ke izafe ko na dekh. Don't look at the length of the beard that I have. It's designed now, it's fashion now. Maulanas have shorter beards these days. Mere muh par meri daadhi ke izafe ko na dekh. Khat ke mazmoon ko par, khat ke lifafe ko na dekh. Look at the content of the letter. Don't get mesmerized by the beautiful envelope in which this letter comes to you. Imam is saying to the man, have you seen this man outside? They say to him, no, we have not seen this man outside. Have you known of his character in his house? No, we do not know of his character in his house. Imam says, then do not judge the man by long and prolonged sujood and ruku. If he is outside what he is inside, then truly envy him. If it is something else outside and something else in the mosque, then there is a problem. It does not change the behavior of or character of an individual when we reach this particular stage. The Muslim Ummah is here. It's mechanical salat. And I am talking about the Ummah in itself. It is mechanical way of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Since the using of the intellect in understanding religion is done away with, the Quran is read but not understood. It is read but it is not understood. Its greatest utility was to provide guidance to mankind. But people do everything with it except understand this Quran. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. What was it sent for? Hudan lil muttaqin. That was its greatest utility. But it is, you can do everything with the Quran. It is here that we must take lesson from the khutbah of Fatimah Zahra salawatullahi wa salamu alayha. She stands there. She knows they are companions of the Prophet in this gathering. She is aware that there is political leadership that is in this place. She is aware that there are various groups of people who are there. And she also knows that there is a general mass that is standing there. She is speaking to every one of them at their own level and makes them understand and tells them as to what it is that you are the nusubu amrihi wa hamalatu dinihi wa wahyih. You are the ones who are the bearers, or you are the ones who are the establishers of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She is reminding them of being God conscious. She is telling them of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. She is asking them to use their roles to reach out to the people with unpolluted teachings of the Holy Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. She is telling them, you have high positions, you are companions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are people who have sat with the Prophet. You are people who have stood with the Prophet. You are people who have interacted with the Prophet. Know your responsibilities. Know who you are. Make sure that you use your positions and your roles responsibly. Whether you are a political leader, whether you are an institutional leader, whether you are a scholar, you need to use your position responsibly. She is telling them, you know, when Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, when the fourth Imam alayhi salam was brought there as a captive to Sham, he arrived there in Sham, and a speaker was called by Yazid. You know, you can pay people to say whatever they want. So Yazid he was only the son of Muawiyah. He could not have done anything other than what Muawiyah himself was doing. So he paid someone to ask him to sit on the pulpit and to deliver sermons and to bring words which are derogatory words against the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam, taking advantage of the ignorance of the people of Sham, taking advantage of the inability of the people of Sham to think. He took advantage and he said, deliver a lecture, deliver a khutbah. This good speaker goes and delivers this particular khutbah and delivers it eloquently. And Imam stands there listening and remarks are being made. At some point, Imam stops him and tells him, وَيْلَكَ أَيُّهَا الْخَطِيبُ, woe be upon you, O speaker. اشتريت مرضات الناس بسخط الله. You have bought the pleasure of the people against the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what you have done. This is what you are doing. وَيْلَكَ يَا خَطِيبُ, woe be upon you. Then Imam says to Yazid, he says, Ya Yazid, إِذَنْ لِي, I want you to take these words home, please, and think about it. It is our responsibility to think. He said, Ya Yazid, إِذَنْ لِي, O Yazid, allow me to speak. حَتَّى أَسْعَدَ هَذِهِ الْأَعْوَادِ, allow me to sit on the plank of woods. He doesn't even call it a mimbar. He said, allow me to sit on this plank of wood so that I may tell people what the reality is. She is reminding Janabi Fatimah Zahra salawatullahi wa salamu alayha, is reminding them. She is telling them, you have a responsibility. The Prophet has vacated his member by being invited to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This position of yours is to educate the people, is to give them ulum and knowledge, is to make sure that you use your positions and your roles. She says to the companions, your positions and your roles, to make sure that you reach out the true messages of the Holy Prophet of Islam, to give the masses their rights, let alone the daughter of the Holy Prophet of Islam. A serious student of history, a serious student in Islam is required to have an open mind. When we say an open mind, it doesn't mean we fall in the category of being people who are deviant in thought process. To have an open mind does not mean being deviant. We need to have an open mind. Closing doors to our own development is the death of our own growth. We ourselves will not be able to grow. We were not created to just live and have a mundane life and die. There was a greater responsibility that was upon us. It is upon us to entertain doubts in our mind. It is our responsibility to read, to ask, to reflect, to seek guidance, to be able to arrive at a point in harmony with the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the teachings of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Remember, a doubt only comes, coming back to the hadith of Imam Ali, a doubt only comes when the vessel is empty. When the vessel is full and the information of true Islam, Islam original, is out there cannot be doubts. The doubts only come when the vessel is empty. Therefore, we must interact with our traditions and the traditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to understand and grow through. That day, on that fateful day, Zahra is delivering a sermon. Unfortunately for the Muslim Ummah, I will repeat that poem for the third time today. इस कौम के रोने को यही बात बड़ी थी, इस कौम के रोने को यही बात बड़ी थी, ज़हरा भरे दरबार में हक मांग रही थी. She was asking for her rights. She said to them, أيها الناس اعلموا أني فاطمة. Know that I am Fatima. وأبي Muhammad, and my father is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. And then she says, Aqulu awdan wa bad'a. I say, and I will repeat this again and again. Wala aqulu ma aqulu ghalata. And what I am saying and I am uttering is not falsehood. It is nothing but truth. What a tragedy Zahra had to say this. What a tragedy Siddiqa had to say this. There comes a time that this lady stands in the darbar, and then there is a time when her daughter Zainab stands in the darbar. You know who narrated this khutbah? You know who has narrated this khutbah of Janabe Fatima, this khutbah known as khutbah Fadakiyah? You know who has narrated it? First of all, we are all amazed by the photographic memory or the deliverance of this particular khutbah by Janabe Fatima herself. Janabe Fatima has delivered this khutbah at the time when Zainab was only 6 years old. She is the one, حدثتنا عقيلتنا Zainab. This has come to us from Zainab. She was only 6 years old. Only Allah knows what went through the heart of Zainab. When her mother came back home after delivering that khutbah. But Zainab, it was not only the incident of Fadak. For Zainab, it was the death of Rasulullah. It was the death of her mother Fatima. She then saw the death of her father Ali ibn Abi Talib. She then saw the death of her brother Hassan. She then came together with Hussein to Karbala. She arrives in Karbala. She is with Hussein from the beginning to the end. She has brought her Aoun and her Muhammad. The day of Ashura comes. She sits there with her brother. She talks to her brother. She stands up and sits with Imam Hussein alayhi salam when he brings the body of Ali Akbar. She sits when she takes Farwa outside together with her Farwa. When the trampled body of Qasim is brought back. When the trampled body of Qasim is brought back, she is together with Hussein ibn Ali. Sometimes she is with Layla, sometimes she is with Rabab. Zainab stands there. On the day of Ashura, she stands there until the time when she supports Imam Zainul Abidin. And Imam Zainul Abidin says to her, now Hussein is no more. Abu Abdullah has now left this world. The Munadi has said, Ala qad qutil al-Husaynu bi Karbala. Ala qad dhubiha al-Husaynu bi Karbala. Zainab is now traumatized. She does not know what to do. She runs from one place to the other. From Tilla Zainabiyah, she comes to the tent of Imam Zainul Abidin. She wakes him up and says, Sajjad, stand up, Sajjad. Imam Zainul Abidin stands up and he says, Aunt, what has happened? She says, I cannot see your father Hussein. I am not able to see your father Hussein. She sees this. She then supports Imam Zainul Abidin, brings him, and Imam alayhi salam moves the flap and unflaps the tent. What does he see? He sees something and suddenly he says, Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. He sees the head of Abu Abdullah. He sees the head of Abu Abdullah on a lance. Zainab is there. Azadara ne Imam Hussein दो जुमले उर्दू के सुन लीजिए. ये ज़ैनब कितनी थकी हुई थी. ये ज़ैनब के अंदर कितनी थकन थी. ये मैं और आप नहीं समझ सकते. ये ज़ैनब वो है जिसने अपने बच्चों को शहीद होते देखा, जिसने कासिम का लाशा पामाल होते देखा, जिसने अली अकबर को एड़ियां रगड़ते देखा. ये वो ज़ैनब है. अज़ादारा ने इमाम हुसैन कहते हैं कि जब आशूर के दिन गुजर गया और 11 मुहर्रम हुई, बीबियों को असीर करके ले जाया गया. एक मर्तबा ज़ैनब अपने भाई के लाशे पे लाई गई. जनाब ज़ैनब को हुसैन के लाशे पे लाया गया. हुसैन का लाशा घोड़ों की टापों से पामाल था. मुझे नहीं मालूम कि हुसैन के लाशे की हालत क्या थी, मगर इस जुमले से एहसास होता है कि लाशे की हालत क्या होगी. ज़ैनब ने लाशा देखा. ज़ैनब ने लाशा देखा और एक जुमला कहा. अंत अखी, क्या तुम मेरे भाई हुसैन? زینب نے ایک جملہ کہا کہ تم میرے بھائی حسین ہو. ازادارو علماء عالم نے لکھا ہے، اپنی تقریر میں بیان فرمایا، آیت اللہ جواد آمولی کہتے ہیں اس کے بعد زینب کربلا سے کوفہ گئیں، کوفے سے شام آئیں، خطبہ دیا، اسیروں کا ساتھ دیا، عابد بیمار کو ساتھ لے کر آئیں. کتنی تھکی ہوئی تھی زینب، کتنی ضعیف ہو چکی تھی زینب. کہتے ہیں کہ جب جناب زینب واپس آئیں رہائی کے بعد اور حسین کے قبر کے پاس پہنچی، جناب زینب نے کہا ہوگا بھیا زینب شام فتح کر آئی، بھیا زینب عابد کو ساتھ لے کر آئی، بھیا زینب شرمندہ ہے سکینہ کو نہ لا سکی. ابھی زینب گفتگو کر رہی ہوں گی، آیت اللہ جواد آمولی کہتے ہیں عجب نہیں قبر سے آواز آئی ہو، انتی اختی، کیا تم میری بہن زینب ہو؟
سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ماتم حسين.